Welcome to Living Your Senior Life, the podcast that helps you navigate your senior years with confidence, joy, and practical advice. We're Mark and Debbie, and we're so glad you're here. Today's episode is about something many of us have experienced, or will experience someday, losing our mom. It's a loss that changes life in ways we never quite expect. Even if we've had time to prepare, nothing really prepares us for what comes afterward. The grief doesn't always follow a neat timeline, and it often shows up in the smallest, most ordinary moments. Maybe it's finding one of her handwritten recipes tucked inside a cookbook, hearing a song she loved while you're driving, reaching for the phone before remembering there's no one to call, or facing holidays and family gatherings that simply don't feel the same anymore. Today, we're talking about those quiet moments of grief that people don't always mention, the ones that can catch you off guard months or even years later. We'll also talk about why those feelings are completely normal and how, over time, many people find ways to carry both the love and the memories forward. So grab a cup of coffee, tea, or even a glass of water, get comfortable, and let's get started.
You are 55 years old. You're just standing in your kitchen on a random Tuesday afternoon.
Right.
And something mildly amusing happens. Like maybe the dog does something ridiculous, or you finally figure out that recipe you've been struggling with for weeks.
Oh, yeah, those little mundane moments.
Exactly. And without even thinking about it, your hand reaches for your phone to call your mom. And then just a split second later, the reality completely crashes down on you.
Yeah.
The muscle memory is there, but the person is not.
It's just a profoundly jarring physical reaction, isn't it? I mean, your brain is firing a signal to a receiver that simply no longer exists.
And that is exactly what we are focusing on today. We are taking a deep dive into the profound and really the structurally life-altering experience of losing a mother after the age of 50.
It's a huge topic.
It really is. We're drawing our insights today from this incredibly comprehensive piece published on the Active Adult blog, Living Your Senior Life, which you can find over at livingyourseniorlife.com.
Highly recommend reading it.
Yeah, it's great. And our goal here isn't just to talk about grief as some vague concept. We want to actually decode the mechanics of this. Like, why does losing a mother in midlife completely rewire your brain?
Right.
How does her absence quietly dismantle and force a rebuild of your entire family structure? And ultimately, how are you supposed to navigate the echoing spaces she leaves behind?
Well, the timing of this loss is what makes it so distinct. The source material makes it clear right away. Losing a mother is a massive life event at any age.
Of course.
But when it happens in your 50s, 60s, or beyond, the specific texture of that grief is entirely unique. And that's largely because of the sheer duration and really the evolution of that bond.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because I think to understand that, we have to look at what a 50-year relationship actually represents psychologically.
Mm-hmm.
Having a mother in your life for that long is less like having a relationship and more like having a foundational operating system running in the background of your reality.
I love that analogy.
Right. Because you've had this software running since the literal day you were born. And sure, as an adult in your 50s, you know logically that a system update or a shutdown is eventually coming.
You see the warning signs of aging?
Exactly. You see the signs. But when that system finally goes offline, you realize that your daily processing, your emotional bandwidth, and just your fundamental understanding of the world relied entirely on her being there.
What's fascinating here is that the operating system analogy works perfectly because it highlights how much the programming has actually changed over the decades.
How so?
Well, the Living Your Senior Life article really zeroes in on this. When you are a child, her role is primary caregiver. She is the authority, the protector, the one setting the rules of your universe.
The ultimate boss.
Right, the boss. But over 50 years, as you navigate your own adulthood, your career, maybe raising children of your own, that relationship goes through multiple iterations.
Yeah, it shifts completely.
By midlife, she is rarely an authority figure anymore. She has transitioned into a confidant. She is the one person on the planet who possesses the complete, unabridged back catalog of your life.
Right, the context. She just has all the context.
Exactly.
You don't have to explain to her why a certain offhand comment from your aunt bothers you so much, or why you have a weird aversion to a specific food.
Because she was there.
She knows because she was literally in the room when those traits developed. You never have to translate yourself for her.
And losing the person who holds that context creates a massive cognitive and emotional void. The source highlights a powerful contradiction that almost everyone experiences when losing a mother at this stage of life.
Oh, the preparation thing.
Yes, exactly. On one hand, you are a mature adult. You understand biology. You understand the natural order of life.
Right.
So there's this initial intellectual reaction of, well, I thought I was prepared for this. But that logical preparation instantly collides with the realization that you cannot logic your way out of the loss of a 50-year bond.
Because intellectual preparation means absolutely nothing to the nervous system.
Nothing at all.
It's like studying meteorology and thinking that means you won't feel cold when you stand in a blizzard.
That is a great way to put it. You're left grappling with a very complex web of emotions. The article notes that you aren't just feeling heavy sadness.
It's more tangled than that.
Much more. That sadness is inextricably tangled with a profound, almost overwhelming gratitude for having had her around for so long.
Wow, yeah.
It is not a clean, single emotion that you can just process and categorize. It's a messy, layered experience that directly impacts your daily functioning.
Which brings us back to that kitchen on a Tuesday afternoon.
Right.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because if this foundational presence is gone, the logical assumption is that the absence is going to be most unbearable during the big glaring moments.
The expected milestones.
Exactly. We brace ourselves for the holidays, we build up our emotional armor for Thanksgiving or her birthday or Mother's Day, expecting those to be the absolute hardest days of the year.
But they often aren't.
No! According to the source, that's not actually how this works. The absence ambushes you in the micro moments.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we really have to look at the neurology of habit and attachment.
Okay, get into the science of it.
Well, we prepare for the holidays because they are predictable events.
Yeah.
We can consciously anticipate the gap at the dinner table, but you cannot consciously prepare for a random Tuesday because human beings operate primarily on subconscious habit loops.
Right. Autopilot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Living Your Senior Life paints this vivid picture of a hand hovering over a phone. You want to ask a quick question about a recipe or just share a random memory that popped into your head?
It's like a phantom limb. But instead of a missing arm, it's a missing emotional pathway.
It is literally a psychological phantom limb. The neural pathways in your brain that tell you to pick up the phone and dial her number are still fully intact and firing.
That's wild.
Your basal ganglia, which controls those ingrained habits, doesn't know she's gone yet.
Oh,
So your brain fires the signal, your hand reaches for the phone, and then your conscious brain has to step in and hit the brakes. The realization crashes down, and you have to essentially re-experience the loss all over again in a microsecond.
that sounds exhausting. Just the sheer cognitive load of having your brain constantly misfire and having to correct it all day long.
It is exhausting.
Yeah.
And the source emphasizes that these ambushes happen constantly. It's seeing a specific brand of tea in the grocery store that she loved,
Oh, that would do it.
or hearing a stranger use a turn of phrase she used to say. It is these entirely ordinary, mundane moments that serve as the most painful reminders of just how deeply she was woven into the fabric of your daily life.
Yeah.
The gap she leaves isn't just at the head of the holiday table.
Yeah.
It's in the spaces between your everyday thoughts.
Hold on. I want to challenge the way we are framing this.
Okay, go ahead.
Because if she was the central thread holding all of this daily fabric together, and suddenly that thread is pulled out, are we just talking about an internal grieving process?
Ah, I see where you're going.
Right. Because to me, it sounds like an unasked for corporate restructuring of the entire family. It sounds like a structural collapse, not just an identity crisis.
This raises an important question,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't call it purely an internal identity crisis either. You're right on the money.
Okay.
It is a structural collapse of the family hierarchy, and the Living Your Senior Life article explicitly addresses this dynamic. You aren't just figuring out who you are without her. You are being forced to manage the expectations of everyone else in the family who is suddenly looking at you differently.
Because suddenly the buffer is gone. You look around and realize, wait, I'm the older generation now.
If we look at this through the lens of family systems theory, the mother often acts as the central node. She is the hub of the wheel.
Right.
All communication, all tradition, all emotional temperature taking flows through her. If you want to know how your brother is really doing, you might ask mom.
She disseminates the news.
She disseminates the news. She organizes the gatherings. When that central node vanishes, the entire external structure of the family is forced to reshape itself instantly.
So the siblings, the spokes of the wheel, suddenly realize they don't actually have direct communication pathways with each other. They've been routing everything through the hub for 50 years.
Which is why the source points out that relationships with siblings can change so drastically after this loss.
That makes total sense.
In some families, the shared grief acts as a unifying force, and siblings build those direct communication pathways very quickly. They lean on each other.
But I'm guessing that's not always the case.
Definitely not. In many other cases, without the mother serving as the glue, the loss exposes old fractures or creates entirely new distances. Siblings have to figure out how to relate to one another without their primary mediator, and that takes a tremendous amount of time and effort.
And at the exact same time, you are inheriting the mantle of her responsibilities.
Right.
Whether you feel ready for it or not, the family expects someone to host the holiday dinner. Someone has to keep track of the birthdays. Someone has to be the glue.
And stepping into those roles while you are actively grieving the person who used to do them is a very heavy, complex burden. Doing things her way might feel too painful, but doing them your way might feel like a betrayal of tradition.
That's a really tough spot to be in.
It is. Finding your footing in this newly restructured family landscape is a major, often overlooked part of the grieving process.
So what does this all mean? Which brings us to the actual day-to-day reality of surviving this. Because if you're dealing with phantom limb habit loops, an exhausted nervous system, and a complete structural reorganization of your family, grief cannot possibly be a neat, predictable checklist. You don't just complete the 5 stages and get a certificate.
Not at all. And the Living Your Senior Life article pulls in insights from the Mayo Clinic to back this up.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
What do they say?
Well, the idea of a linear timeline for grief is a complete myth. There is no set schedule. The experts at the Mayo Clinic note that grief is highly unpredictable and comes and goes in waves over long periods of time.
It's like a sneaker wave at the beach.
Exactly.
You know, you can be walking along the shoreline, the sun is out, the water looks calm, and you feel totally fine. You feel like you've moved on.
Yeah.
And then, seemingly out of nowhere, this massive silent wave surges up the beach and knocks you completely off your feet. And the thing about getting hit by a sneaker wave is that getting knocked down doesn't mean you were walking backward.
Right. It's not regression.
Right. It doesn't mean you lost your progress. It just means you got hit by a wave.
That analogy perfectly captures the physiological reality of grief triggers. You might feel fine for weeks, and then a random smell or a passing comment triggers that wave, and your body reacts as if the loss just happened yesterday.
Wow.
That is not regression. That is just human neurology functioning the way it's supposed to.
But if we can't control the sneaker waves, how are we supposed to swing in that water?
It takes deliberate effort.
The source material offers some practical coping mechanisms, but I really want to dig into why they actually work. For example, the article suggests establishing gentle, deliberate routines. They use the visual of a woman quietly journaling by a window or taking a daily walk.
Yes.
But when your entire family structure has collapsed, taking a walk feels a bit like putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg. Why is routine actually critical here?
It's a very fair question. And the reason the source emphasizes gentle routines like daily walks or journaling isn't just to keep you distracted or busy.
Okay, what is it doing then?
It's about regulating your nervous system. When you lose that foundational operating system, your body often goes into a state of sympathetic nervous system arousal that's fight or flight.
Oh, because the anchor is gone.
Exactly. The world suddenly feels unsafe and unpredictable because the person who anchored it is gone.
So the routine is a manual override.
Precisely. Walking at the exact same time every day, or sitting down to write your thoughts by the same window every morning, signals to your brain that your immediate environment is safe and predictable.
It calms the system down.
It physically lowers your cortisol levels.
Yeah.
It provides a tiny, controllable anchor in a life that currently feels entirely out of your control.
That makes so much more sense. It's not about the walk itself. It's about the predictability of the walk.
Right.
The article also mentions the importance of talking about her, sharing memories, and continuing things she loved, like cooking her favorite meals or keeping up a specific hobby of hers.
Yes, and psychologically, this is about integration.
Okay.
You are not trying to, quote-unquote, get over the loss by forgetting her. You are actively taking pieces of her operating system and consciously integrating them into your own.
Oh, that's beautiful.
By cooking a recipe or writing down the life lessons she taught you, you are transitioning the relationship from an external physical presence to an internal psychological one.
It normalizes her absence while honoring her memory. And I have to ask this, what happens if the sneaker waves just keep pulling you under?
It happens.
What if the nerve system regulation and the memory integration just aren't enough to keep you afloat?
The source is unequivocal about this. There is profound strength in recognizing when you need external support.
Yeah.
If the fight or flight response refuses to shut off, if the sadness is overwhelming your ability to function in your daily routines, or if the structural changes in your family have left you feeling entirely isolated, you need to reach out.
Because you shouldn't have to rewire your entire operating system totally alone.
Exactly. The article strongly recommends seeking out a professional who specializes in grief, joining a support group, or even just leaning on trusted friends outside of the immediate family dynamic.
That outside perspective must be crucial.
It really is. They also point to the National Institute on Aging as a crucial resource for evidence-based information on coping with prolonged loss and the physical toll it can take on older adults.
That's a great resource.
Seeking help is a necessary tool when the internal coping mechanisms aren't enough to manage the structural collapse.
It really reframes the entire concept of moving on. Coping isn't about leaving the loss behind in the past. It's about figuring out how to carry it forward.
Absolutely.
As we synthesize everything we've discussed from the Living Your Senior Life article, the neural habit loops, the family systems, the nervous system regulation, the core takeaway seems to be that the bond doesn't end. It just changes form.
That is the ultimate conclusion. The intense, exhausting sharpness of the immediate grief will soften over time.
It gets better.
It does. The basal ganglia will eventually rewire itself, and you won't reach for the phone as often. The family will eventually settle into its new structural dynamic. The sneaker waves might become less frequent.
Yeah.
But the 50-year bond you shared remains intact. By sharing stories with the next generation, by asking questions about her history, you are taking that profound loss and turning it into a lasting, enduring connection.
Her influence, the values she instilled, the context she held for your life, they don't vanish. They just get fully absorbed into who you are.
Well said.
The background presence hasn't disappeared and has become the foundation you are now standing on. So I want to leave you with a thought to mull over today as you go about your routine. Think about the ways her operating system is currently running in your background. If her influence and her lessons are now a permanent underlying part of who you are. Oh, wait, let me rephrase that. Think about this. What is one specific quirky trait or habit of hers that you are unknowingly passing on to the next generation right now?
As we wrap up today's episode, I hope one thing stays with you. There isn't a right or wrong way to grieve the loss of your mom. Every relationship is unique and every journey through grief is different. If today's conversation resonated with you, I encourage you to be gentle with yourself. Take time to remember the little things. The stories, the traditions, the recipes, the laughter. Those memories become part of the legacy our mothers leave behind. And in many ways, they continue to shape who we are. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with us. If you enjoyed today's episode, we'd love it if you would follow the podcast and share it with a friend. It really does help us reach more people who may be looking for encouragement and practical support as they navigate this stage of life. And for more tips, resources, and everyday encouragement for life after 50, be sure to visit livingyourSeniorLife.com. And as always, until next time, take care of yourself, be kind to your heart, and live your best senior life.